Welcome! This video will be an in-depth guide on movement tech in Pseudoregalia, specifically covering everything you should need for running any percent on current patch as of August 17th, 2023. Do note that in the beta branch there are changes to certain things like slide hopping and clings, so if you're on a future version with these patches, you can always downgrade your version of Pseudoregalia. There's a wonderful guide on how to do so over on the speedrun.com Pseudoregalia guides page. This video will have visual demonstrations for both keyboard and controller, so special thanks to Bam Bam from the Pseudoregalia Discord. She helped me a lot with the controller inputs since I play mostly on keyboard and mouse. There will be timestamps linked in the description so that you can skip to whatever trick you're currently working on, and remember that if you have any trouble with any of these tricks, you can use YouTube's playback speed option to slow them down, or use the comma and period keys on your keyboard to go frame by frame and look at the inputs. With that out of the way, let's get into the most basic movement tech in Pseudoregalia. We're going to be starting with backflips. Now, backflips happen when Sybil enters this little turnaround animation you can see right here. This happens whenever you swap directions suddenly. She goes into this little kind of like skid turnaround animation, and you can input a jump during this time period to gain a little backflip with momentum, going in whichever direction Sybil is holding, or you are holding rather, at the time of the jump input. So by default, it flips just straight back like this, but you can let go of the S key. This is pretty much the same on controller. Just think of the WASD as your up, down, left, and right. And all of these inputs should be the same. If you let go of the S key or press forwards on your joystick before you input the jump, then Sybil should have a sort of forward momentum to her backflip. You can do backflips in any direction. As you can see, I can input to the left, and Sybil will flip to the left, or I can input nothing at all, and Sybil will just jump straight up. Now, this piece of tech is very helpful in this section for grabbing the top of this cage and getting up quickly, and it's also very helpful for some tech down the line. It's incorporated into one of the most powerful pieces of movement tech that you will have in any percent, and I will get to that a little bit later. But first I want to talk about Coyote Time. Coyote Time is actually named after Wile E. Coyote from the Roadrunner cartoons. If you've seen those, when Wile E. Coyote runs off of a cliff, he pauses in the air for a short period of time before falling down, and a lot of platformers specifically like to incorporate a mechanic that kind of uses this idea to make platformers feel a little bit better when you're playing them. Pseudoregalia has this, and basically what it is whenever you run off of a cliff like this one here and input a jump, even after you've fallen off of the cliff, you can still make that jump. And if you can't really tell, then feel free to slow the video down. You can see that I am inputting my jump far after the time that I have left the edge of this platform. And this is pretty helpful for this particular section at the start of the any percent run, and it is also super helpful for some of the tricks that, again, I will get to a little bit later. That should be everything for the most basic of movement techs. Now let's get on to movement techs with abilities. Slide is super duper powerful, and you'll see why. So with slides, there are two basic ways to cancel them on the ground. There is a standard cancel, which you can do by just inputting jump about halfway through your slide, and there is a skid, which is performed the same way, except you start by holding in the opposite direction of the way you are originally sliding before pressing jump. Those are all displayed separately on screen here from multiple angles, so you can see what they look like. If you use a standard cancel by pressing jump about halfway through your slide, and then input another slide afterwards, you can chain together slides like this pretty quickly, and it can be a decent way of getting around a lot faster than just standard walking. If you slide off a ledge like this, then it will cancel your slide, and you can use this momentum to bunny hop. It should be the same across both inputs. You can enter a special state known as glide, as shown here, by inputting another slide near the end of Sybil's first slide animation, right as she's getting up, but it's kind of hard to nail this timing, and it's not super quick, so there's another way of getting into glide by canceling Sybil's first slide, as shown here. This can be done by inputting both slide and jump about halfway through Sybil's slide. The timing on this seems to be much more lenient, and it is super useful for bunny hopping. which, as you can see here, is done by inputting a jump directly out of a glide. The sooner you do this, the better. I have some examples of what happens if you input a jump too late after a glide, like this one here. And as you can see, it's not very fast. You're aiming for something a lot faster. This is one of the best movement options in the game, so you would do well to practice it. It's one of the more satisfying movement options as well. I have a side-by-side shown here of the different movement options in the game and how fast they are going down the hallway in Sansa Keep. And as you can see, bunny hopping out of a glide is the fastest way to go. Now we're going to talk about one of my favorite tricks, the slide hop. These are super cool and very satisfying to pull off, but can be a bit daunting at first. However, I find that breaking a slide hop down to its components and understanding what makes them work will help you get a better feel for the timing and make it easier to practice this trick. First of all, slide hops, or super hops, are built off of backflips. Backflips in this game have increased strength depending on your momentum, and there are multiple ways to achieve this. The most commonly used version of this trick is done by backflipping out of a slide cancel, thus the name slide hops. You start by canceling your slide into a skid, which can be done by holding back and jump about halfway through your slide. After you have entered skids, you must quickly input a direction and press jump a second time. This is the same thing as a directional backflip, which I mentioned at the start of this video, only we're using the slide cancel to increase its momentum. The faster you cancel your slide and input your flip, the stronger the backflip will be, and there is a certain momentum threshold at which Sybil gains a yellow afterimage and a sound effect will play. These maximum strength hops are often referred to as ultras, and the timing on ultras can be pretty tight, but I promise with enough practice you will get them down. There are some other ways to achieve ultras easily, such as sliding off a ledge and then backflipping, or backflipping out of a bunny hop at certain speeds. If you enter your skid as you are falling off the edge of a platform, you can input your second jump during Coyote Time, at which point you are almost guaranteed an ultra, since you don't lose momentum the same way you would if you did a skid on flat ground. Finally, I'm going to be talking about some movement that you can do with the Cling Gem ability. Once you cling into a corner like this, you can hold down the cling button and press the jump button multiple times to climb up the wall up to 6 times or 5, depending on if you're counting clings or if you're counting jumps. And also, if you grab a rounded wall or a curved wall and cling to that, you will not lose height. You can even climb up certain curved surfaces, whether it's the inner wall or the outer wall, as long as you continue holding the cling button. Alrighty, so that should be everything for the Pseudoregalia Basic Movement Tech Guide. I hope you guys enjoyed, maybe learned something new, and hopefully this helps with any of the tricks that you've been struggling to perform to start running Pseudoregalia. If there is anything that I missed, feel free to let me know in the comments or over on the Pseudoregalia Discord. I would like to once again say a huge thank you to Bam Bam for helping me with some of the controller inputs. And just a general thank you to everyone over on the Pseudoregalia speedrunning Discord, because this has been an absolute blast. I love this game, and I hope it gets more popular, and I hope that these guides can help get more people interested in running the game. All right, thank you very much, and good luck on all of your runs.